Welcome to Zaun. Zaun is a cauldron of ingenuity and despair. Its factories churn out intricate machines and chemical innovations, powered by toxic gases and vapors that fill the air. This stifling environment is driven by the ambition of renegade scientists and visionary craftsmen, who strive to create technologies beyond the constraints of Piltover's laws and ethics. The Undercity is a patchwork of decaying districts, polluted canals, and makeshift contraptions. Amidst this chaos, Shimmer, a powerful and destructive drug, flows through the veins of society, bringing both ecstasy and ruin. Zaun is a vivid representation of the concept of industrial dystopias, a theme often explored in fiction to highlight the consequences of unchecked technological advancements without considering their human and environmental costs. Much like London during the Industrial Revolution of the 19th century, Zaun is a place where progress and suffering walk hand in hand. Zaun reflects this historical reality with a touch of dark fantasy. Its factories are hubs of innovation, producing complex machines and chemical advancements. However, the cost is evident: toxic gases fill the air, rivers and canals are polluted, and Shimmer, a destructive drug, symbolizes the dangers of uncontrolled progress. This inspiration not only makes Zaun a fascinating city within the League of Legends universe but also serves as a powerful commentary on the consequences of prioritizing technological advancement over social and environmental well-being. What happens when progress advances without limits? When innovation and destruction walk hand in hand? Zaun is a land of contrasts. Its chemical and technological innovations surpass even the boldest creations of Piltover. But what is the cost of this? Zaun shows us that progress is not neutral. It enriches some, but it often destroys those at the bottom of the social pyramid. The environmental impact in Zaun is not just visual, it is visceral. For its inhabitants, toxic air and industrial waste are invisible enemies that claim lives every day. Without ethical boundaries, Zaun is a reflection of how greed and neglect can turn entire communities into sacrifice zones. In the depths of Zaun, life has never been easy. The streets are a maze of factories, makeshift contraptions, and a dense fog of toxic gases that hangs in the air, making breathing a difficult, almost impossible task. For the city's inhabitants, breathing is an act of survival, but also one of constant suffering. The gases emitted by the factories are invisible, but their consequences are devastating. Every breath of contaminated air is a battle against respiratory diseases, incessant coughing, and the feeling that the body is being corroded from the inside out. Children on the streets barely know how to play, because the heavy air is more of an enemy than a playground. They grow up with damaged lungs, never knowing what it's like to breathe clean air, already accustomed to the oppression of the smoke that fills every corner of Zaun. The people of Zaun have grown accustomed to the constant feeling of suffocation. Some, in their attempt to adapt to the city's relentless life, cover their faces with torn cloths, but there's no escape. They know that with each passing day, the invisible toxin in the air takes away a little more of their strength. The older ones, who have spent their lives working in the factories, have faces marked by misery and years of exposure to corrosive fumes. For them, Zaun is not just a city of innovation and progress, it is an invisible prison. The greed of the inventors and the lack of regulation from Piltover have allowed the city's air to become a poison, with no one caring about the price paid by the poorest. But the inhabitants have no choice. Some turn to the temporary escape offered by Shimmer, a drug that anesthetizes them against the pain of daily life. For others, the fight is constant, finding a bit of relief among broken machines and buildings that seem to swallow the city whole. But nothing is free, and everyone knows that each dose of Shimmer only drags them deeper into a spiral of destruction, in an endless cycle. Singed, the scientist without ethical limits. Singed is a clear example of a scientist who crosses ethical boundaries in the pursuit of power and knowledge. He embodies the archetype of an individual whose obsession with creation and scientific advancement overrides any moral or human considerations. His involvement in the development of Shimmer, a powerful and destructive substance, is a reflection of his reckless behavior and lack of empathy. Shimmer. Shimmer was originally created by Singed from a species of glowing purple flowers found in Zaun's caves. It was one of his many attempts to find a cure for his daughter Oriana, who was in a coma with a terminal illness. His first known test subject was Rio, his Waverider pet. After years of experimentation, the drug eventually found its purpose during Singe's employment under Silco. Initially designed as a healing drug, Shimmer was later weaponized under Silco's leadership. It was used to create an army of superhuman soldiers as part of Silco's plan to wage war against Piltover and force the Topsiders to grant Zaun its independence. Silco began selling Shimmer as a street drug to fund his illicit operations. Vi, the resilient justice. Vi is the symbol of raw resistance and determination that Zaun demands from its inhabitants. Her physical and emotional strength reflects the daily struggle of those who live on the fringes. Jinx, the trauma turned chaos. While Vi fights to overcome Zaun, Jinx is consumed by it. She becomes the personification of the chaos born from hopelessness and abandonment. Echo, the visionary of change. While others succumb to the chaos of Zaun, Echo builds something new. He believes in a future that doesn't repeat the mistakes of the past. Silco, the revolutionary leader. Silco is the face of a revolution that accepts sacrifice. But the question remains, what is the price of freedom? Echo and Silco represent two opposing sides of resistance in Zaun, each with a distinct approach to dealing with oppression and the fight for freedom. Echo, the visionary of change, believes in a future where chaos and destruction are not the answer. He is driven by the idea of building, not just machines and inventions, but a new reality for Zaun. Echo is a leader who seeks to create, seeing the power of collaboration and innovation as the key to transforming his city and future. He represents peaceful resistance, the kind that aims to make a difference without sacrificing his own principles. In his mind, true revolution happens when something new, better, and more just is built, and he believes this can be done without resorting to violence or suffering. On the other hand, Silco, the revolutionary leader, adopts a darker and more pragmatic vision of resistance. For him, freedom and power require sacrifices, and destruction is a necessary tool to achieve his goals. Silco believes that true revolution can only be achieved through conflict, manipulation, and chaos. He sees Zaun as a place that must be destroyed before it can be rebuilt, or any means justifies the end. His struggle is one based on destruction, fear, and manipulation, believing that Piltover's oppression can only be toppled by brute force and sacrifices. Zaun is a fractured city, marked by conflicting factions and interests. In its shadowy streets, where smoke and toxic gases linger, its inhabitants fight not only for physical survival but also for political and economic dominance. From rogue scientists to gangs and merchants, Zaun's factions are in a constant struggle for power, wealth, and control. At the center of this chaos is Silco, the revolutionary leader whose clear objective is to liberate Zaun from Piltover's oppression. Zaun is a large and subterranean district, nestled within the deep canyons and winding valleys that cut through Piltover. Zaun versus Piltover, the great conflict. The conflict between Zaun and Piltover is not just physical but also ideological. Piltover, the Golden City, is the oppressor, a beacon of wealth and progress where its citizens enjoy a life of luxury, science, and innovation. However, this luxury is built on the exploitation of Zaun's people, who live in the shadows, breathing contaminated air and enduring the brutality of a system that views them as disposable. Zaun, on the other hand, is the oppressed city. Its inhabitants are the forgotten, forced to fight for survival in a relentless and corroded environment, neglected by Piltover. Yet, instead of bowing to oppression, Zaun resists, with factions and leaders like Silco rising to challenge Piltover. This resistance is fueled by accumulated anger, a yearning for freedom, and the promise of a future without the tyranny of the wealthy city. But this resistance, like Zaun's people, is fractured, divided, and teetering on the brink of self-destruction. While Silco chose strength, Echo bet on hope. Vi fights to protect, while Jinx succumbs to chaos. Each of them represents a facet of what it means to live and survive in Zaun. Every decision, every sacrifice, shapes the future of a city caught between destruction and reconstruction. In the end, Zaun leaves us with a question that echoes beyond its borders: how far are we willing to go to achieve what we call freedom? And when we look at the cost, is it worth paying the price? Subscribe to the channel for more from the world of Arcane, and learn about Piltover, Noxus, and beyond.